put yourself in the customer shoes and understand, saying if payment was the theme, if customer trust was the theme, if green commerce was the theme, or devices was the theme, what is you when you are when you put yourself as a customer, what would be the pain point? For example, in the customer trust portfolio, imagine like if you're trying to buy an iPhone charger, like there are a thousand ways of which to get a counterfeit product listed from the sellers, right? And similarly, when say looking at your green commerce theme, like you want to buy the best product which is biodegradable. So how can Amazon identify the products and grade it saying it's a biodegradable and give a score? Similarly for payments, identifying some social media attacks or anything, and man in the middle attacks and anything. Just imagine if your credit card gets compromised, how bad will you feel? You will lose the complete trust in the Amazon platform. So think, put yourself in a customer's shoes, understand, and come up with an innovative idea that is in adherence to the theme. That's the first thing. Second thing, your idea should be realistic, and imagine if you want to kind of productionize this idea, we should be able to do it. It should not look very good on the paper, but far from reality that we cannot implement it. Third thing, we also, if you see the whole template, we also ask you to kind of give us a architecture diagram saying how will you scale it for an Amazon kind of a scale where we have millions of customers doing billions of transactions. So think about an Amazon scale and identify if we are able to kind of scale this idea better and take it forward, because what works for 100 customers and like 1,000 products, the technology will be different. But if you have to scale it to millions and billions of transaction and high TPS, high transactions per second, I think it's going to be very, very challenging. So these are the three basic things that you can kind of go wrong. And most important thing, I know we have a lot of chat GPTs and of the world available. We will be able to identify if you're just using a ready-made idea and not putting in your own thing. I think just to kind of be very specific about a specific question that Chaitanya asked, like if you are able to customize the solution, there may be a lot of solutions existing, but if you're able to customize it and solve a customer problem, I think that's what we are looking for. How did you make any of the existing MLAI algorithms your own and used it to solve a customer problem? Don't use what is ready made. There are a lot of white papers, you just copy and paste. That's not novel, that's not great, it may not even solve the customer ideas. So be more creative, be more innovative, your students, and we want to see a lot of fresh ideas coming in from the campuses. Back to you, Chaitanya.
Hey, thank you so much. I see a lot of such curiosity on the chat box also. So I'll now actually move towards the chat box, folks. So now in the last 10 minutes, we have the Q&A, right? And what I've done is I've taken a lot of questions to just start with, right? While we talk about those questions, feel free to ask more questions. And wherever I feel that, your question makes a lot of sense, which helps people to learn more about the program, I will take them up, right? So before we get into that, I have taken note of few questions which were asked during the session, and we'll start with them. Between the speakers, uh, please, whoever wants to go first, let please start, and in case somebody have more to add, feel free to continue, right? So the first question that I have is, what is expected out of the participants in this stage, right? Are we expecting a prototype? Are we expecting a basic idea? What are we expecting? And coming back from that, what will be different from idea submission stage and prototype submission stage, right? So anybody wants to take that, Furkan?
Yeah, in this round, mostly what we're trying to see is like you pick up a theme and you come up with a solution. You just do a write up here. It's a PowerPoint presentation of at max 5 to 6 slides that we are expecting as an output. And what those slides will contain is who is your customer? How are you solving the customer problem? What technology are you using? Are you using some ready-made built-in MLAI algorithms, or you're customizing? You're doing something of your own? At the end, how will you scale it at Amazon's kind of a scale? Last but not the least, what is the impact that you're trying to create? Like just saying, at Amazon, we're also obsessed about KPIs. We have our input metrics and output metrics. Like if you pick up a problem, what do you think is the problem and how much is the kind of volume? Like you need to also do an impact analysis saying fake reviews is causing like probably 1,000 customers to buy products, and it's leading to a loss of X amount of dollar, X million dollar of GMS. We are using this algorithm to weed out all the fake reviews, and our algorithm will be 90% efficient, and it will help you kind of reduce this overall loss from 100 million to 10 million. So there is a customer attachment, there is a technology aspect, there is a scaling aspect, and at the end, what is the impact that you're creating by this thing. So we are just expecting a presentation slide deck. In the next round, you will need to kind of translate this presentation slide deck into a realistic working prototype. So in this round, we are not expecting you to write code or build anything. You need to think architecture and be ready for it, so that, like, we also will review your architecture perspective, saying what is your model of how are you thinking of scaling this. That's why it's important. But you will actually code and build those models or do anything in the next prototype round. uh, Anybody else wants to chime in, please chime in. Josh, Tarun, Ramesh, anybody, please chime in. Yeah.
Thanks, Furkan. Maybe I can add here, right? So it's the idea submission round, right? It says in the name that it's not exactly solving a problem, but to suggest what is the problem that you want to solve and why have you selected that problem, right? What's the business case of selecting that problem? How much dollars will it bring in or will it save if we do it? How much carbon emission will it save if we do it, right? So it is basically talking about the idea more than solving that idea, right? But not just talking about the idea, it will also talk about how will you solve it, right? Once you get through this stage is when you will get into prototype building, where you will actually implement what you said, right? But make a very strong business case, make a very strong case why we should probably invest in your idea. Think about it like that. That will help you have a lot of clarity, right? And that will help you also understand how Amazon thinks, right? Amazon have so many employees that we have, right? But some of the ideas get selected. Why? Because the business case is strong, the reason is strong on why to pursue it. And that's the very idea of this particular stage we call idea submission, right? Perfect. I'll move on to the next question, right? I'll direct this question to Tarun. Tarun, in your experience, what qualities or elements make an idea stand out during the shortlisting process?
Okay, I think Furkan also talked about it briefly around the criteria. I think one very important aspect is that the idea has to be relatable to the real world problem, right? It cannot be just a fancy solution. Okay, I have used so many technology, I have used LLM, but unless it is solving the real world problem or a real customer problem, it may not cut, right? So like we in Amazon say everything is customer backward. So while you are working on ideas, make sure that the idea solves a real world problem and it's a scalable. Like we are not solving it for 1,000 to 2,000 people, right? We are solving it for millions of people. So make sure that idea relates to the solving customer problem. It is scalable because it has to be used by millions of people, considering the Amazon scale.
Got it, Tarun. Thank you so much for that. In case anybody wants to add to that, any other point of views, I'll just wait for another 2 3 seconds.
One thing on adding to Tarun is like basically while you are looking at the customer problem, also look at like how the experience can be simple enough. Like yeah, historically Amazon innovated on one-click ordering and all of those. Make it really simple. Like don't complexify the customer experience. Keep it as simple as possible. That is like a don't make me think is what they say. Like you don't have to think when you see the UI, just natural. So those are all the experiences you need to give focus on. That's yeah, my input
Makes a
takeaway.
lot of sense. If people spend some time on leadership principles, we are, mentioning it again and again, leadership principles, because that's how important they are. But if you go there and check what are Amazon's leadership principle, you'll find a principle called invent and simplify that talks a lot about having a very simple solution to a very complex problem, right? So maybe just go through it and you'll learn more about the leadership principles that we have. We're getting a question about will we get any data set? Will we have any APIs? Will we have any platform data so that we can base our research on that? Any answers on that?
I can take this. So first things first, because our internal code and our internal customer data is an IP or intellectual property right of Amazon. We are not in position to share any of our APIs, any of our customer data. You need to build up your own sample data set. And second thing is, for example, for Fire devices, will we get a Fire device stick from Amazon? The answer is no. You'll need to use simulators. So Amazon would not be exposing any of their code or any of their proprietary hardware or software platform with any of the students during the hackathon. What is available to you as students is AWS already has a student, they offer a discounted thing or free customer base for the students, where you can use a lot of AWS components free of cost. So you can subscribe to AWS as a student and benefit from what components are available out there in the market ready to use. So that would be the short answer. And feel free to kind of generate a small sample data set of your own, which depicts aptly the customer problems and all the use cases, the happy use case, the exceptional use case, intermediate use cases. So you need to think of all the customer scenarios. That's where the ownership, the customer obsession will come in. And then you need to build the data sets. We'll not kind of judge you by like what kind of data sets you build, but on the customer scenarios that you've chosen. So I think that should clarify that from an Amazon perspective, we are not going to share any of our software or the hardware devices or anything with you. Hope that answers. Back to you, Chaitanya.
Thank you so much, Furkan. I think we are right on time, and I'm glad that we are right on time. We were supposed to do this from 5 to 6, so we're right on time. So, with this, I'll end this session, and all the best for the next round. And folks, I really hope that you present the best self and best version of yourself. What we have next is the feedback survey that we run at every stage. Feedbacks are very important at Amazon, you know that. And what I would want you to do is just scan that QR code which is on your screen and help us make this even better for all your juniors next year, right? So that HackOn keeps on improving and you know keeps on increasing the number of registrations and keeps on increasing the number of folks we get in as Amazonians later on as well. So thank you so much. With this, I'll end this session and wish you all the best. Thank you so much for all the speakers for joining in and sharing your insights. And once again, all the best.
Thank you.